This video is brought to you by Aaron Clary, author of The Curse of the High IQ, all of our wonderful fans on Patreon, and viewers like you. Thank you.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
I've only made one video about a single image, but I'm about to double that number. What you see before you is probably the saddest Star Wars toy image you'll see all day. Now I know I've gone out into the world and I've filmed shelves and shelves and shelves of unsold Star Wars toys, but last time I went I saw the Star Wars Landspeeder. And yeah, in previous videos there was the display. And on the store floor, there were 3 Landspeeders. But at this closing Toys R Us, there's just a glut of Landspeeders. And it's sad and it's funny. This is what you get when you subvert expectations. I don't think Disney takes this into account. But let's use Dion as an example. And if you don't know Dion, Dion's one of the founding members of the World Class Bullshitters podcast. He's been there since day one, and he'll be there until the end. Dion has a child, about 5 years old. Dion hates modern Star Wars. Therefore, he doesn't give his son modern Star Wars stuff. Now, Lucasfilm loves to say, oh, if you subvert expectations, the man babies will just cry off and the next generation will come in. But depending on who you classify as a man baby, those man babies have children and families and just don't like what you're doing. And when they don't like what you're doing, they're not going to pass it on to the next generation. And I think this is a good indicator. Because let's be honest, the price is right for what you get. $150 for this Landspeeder that little kids can ride in. That's really a cool gift at a great price. I mean, this is like 1998 prices. I remember Power Wheels were kind of pricey as a kid, and my mom would have bought me one. But when you're in kindergarten and you're 5'2", you're a little big for Power Wheels. But I think this is an indicator of bad business decisions coming back to bite them on the ass. Because nobody is purchasing these things. Now you're probably looking at the little Tykes boxes and you say to yourself, wow, there's a ton of little Tyke boxes next to it. Why don't you make a video about this? Well, those little Tyke products, first off, we don't know what they are. And secondly, those type of things come and go every year and they sell. This Star Wars thing was a big gamble on their part and it blew up in their face. Because as I said before, that brand just doesn't hold the weight it used to. And it's all the fault of Lucasfilm. Now just look at these boxes of Landspeeders and think of all the fun childhood adventures you could have in them. You could ride up and down your driveway, or your cul-de-sac if you're privileged enough to live on a street like that. Playing Luke Skywalker, running around, searching through the grass, acting like you're on Endor. You know, maybe Luke's Landspeeder got transported to Endor. Or maybe it's a hot day and you think you're on Tatooine. Those things can only come from the imagination of a child if they're watching a character or a hero that deserves praise or deserves that kind of attention or actually triggers that type of emotional response. A grumpy old man who bitches an entire movie away and then disappears after he force projects himself onto a battlefield doesn't excite children. It excites a man baby known as Ryan Johnson. It gives him a weird boner to ruin people's good times. You know, they always like to say, well, Star Wars fans bitch about everything and ruin everybody's fun, but it's Lucasfilm that bitches about everything and ruins people's fun. I mean, they have the official power to ruin people's fun. Maybe they can't actually ruin a childhood, but they can ruin your future with a brand. And back to Dion again. Dion is so disappointed with Lucasfilm Star Wars nowadays, the Disney Star Wars era, that as I said, his kid is not being exposed to anything. Now his sister has a child roughly the same age, and she's tried to give him some Star Wars characters from the Disney era, and he's not interested. He doesn't want it. He doesn't find Stormtroopers or Finn to be very interesting, or Kylo Ren. But he gravitates towards Captain America. He gravitates towards Spider-Man and Iron Man characters that are heroic and run wild in a child's imagination. They don't look at the camera and tell fans to subvert their expectations and enjoy whatever they're being given because it holds the name Star Wars. No, they take people on an adventure. They bring them to a new world, or in the case of Marvel, our world, but very augmented. They do these things to excite people and make them happy. And when people are happy, they support. So if you just anger people, they don't do anything for you. They will shun you. They will ignore you. And that's where we are with Star Wars. The Star Wars aisles at these Toys R Us that are going out of business are clogged with merchandise. And the sadder thing is, when I go to make these videos, I never have to worry about waiting for a kid to get out of frame or anything like that, because the kids aren't down these Star Wars aisles. No one is. The stuff's overpriced. It doesn't appeal to them. And I would like to get rid of this misnomer that, oh, kids only want iPads. People still buy toys. Every friend that has a child has a kid that plays with toys. Another friend of mine, I won't name him on air because he's not related to the channel, but he has a 4-year-old, and that kid loves his toys. I went over to their house, and he's like, I gotta show you Captain America, I gotta show you this, I gotta show you that. The kid wasn't playing on an iPad. The kid showed me his Xbox for about 2 minutes, and then showed me another box of toys. And every friend that has a child has a big box of toys that they're focused on, more so than the electronics. Maybe your kid, or someone you know, likes an iPad, but there are people out there who don't want their kid dependent on technology, so they give them something that helps create and foster their imagination. I mean, when we grew up in the 90s, a Batman action figure was enough. Or Spider-Man and a piece of dental floss was enough to make you imagine Spider-Man swinging through New York City. You didn't need augmented reality apps on your phone. You didn't need an AT-ACT that walked. I had an AT-AT walker that played some sounds, lit up in the front, and that was enough. On a cold winter day, that thing went outside and we reenacted Hoth, where the rebels won. Or I brought it inside and we reenacted Endor. Or we just did things with the products and our minds grew, our imaginations grew, and we had a lot of fun. And Star Wars used to be all about fun. And now it's not. It's just about making you feel bad. Like, who benefits when everyone feels bad? Honestly, the only people to benefit from Star Wars are the people who get paid, and Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy, who Kathleen Kennedy gets her ego cock-stroked by Rian Johnson, maybe even sucked, who knows how that relationship works. And Rian Johnson gets told he's a genius by people in the right circles. Well, Ryan, there are about 7 billion people on the planet. With the exception of the 12 who kiss your ass, everyone else will tell you to go fuck yourself. Because you've done the damage. You've ruined Star Wars. And we're 2 weeks away, 14 days from Solo: A Star Wars Story. And I blame you for subverting our expectations of a good movie and thus making the hype for that film at an all-time low. I don't care what these pre-sale numbers tell us. I want to see a box office. And don't give me this bullshit about a 4-day fucking weekend. You see, that's a benefit for Solo. They're able to claim the 4-day Memorial Day weekend, and then they're going to be like, oh, what made all this money over this period of time? And it's like I always say with Wonder Woman or Black Panther, when they make up those little extra categories to make a movie feel more important. Like Wonder Woman is the highest grossing superhero movie to be directed by a woman to come out in the month of June in the year of 2017. But when you put those types of things onto the film, of course it's going to break that record because it's the only one. So you're stacking the deck in the film's favor. With Solo: A Star Wars Story, it comes out on a 4-day weekend, so they're going to be able to count an extra day in the box office. But it's still going to fall short nearly $100 million from the Avengers. And I know people at this point are like, why do you keep bringing up Avengers? Well, Avengers is the most popular franchise, but Star Wars is the most talked about franchise because it has the benefit of 41 years of exposure. And the only reason it's being talked about as much as it is now is because it's never been so bad, and there's a counterculture movement to make it right. I think the end game would be to make Star Wars just stop for a while because it's been bad. But I think deep down everyone would like if they would just, about face and make the next series of films really awesome. But you can't with the characters created from episodes 7 through 9. Those characters are damaged. They're a bad experiment, if you will. The creation of a woman who's not creative, who has all the power in the world but doesn't deserve it. Weak directors who will toe the company line and whose agendas are more important than their creative and artistic visions. Let's be honest, Rian Johnson doesn't have an artistic vision or a creative vision. J.J. Abrams doesn't either. He just borrows, and I'm using quotations, he steals everything. Episode 7, basically A New Hope. Star Trek Into Darkness, Wrath of Khan. Super 8, The Goonies. E.T., all these things. J.J. Abrams is the world's biggest con man. He can con you into thinking that he's created something unique and great, but at the end of the day, he's just a low-rent Steven Spielberg who can't throw an homage to anything without just blatantly copying it. So yes, this single image created this kind of a rant, and it's therapeutic and sad to see these things. Like I said earlier, and imagine the fun a kid could have with a Landspeeder and a toy lightsaber and an adventure in the backyard or in the cul-de-sac or wherever you may live. It's not about the people not having the imagination. It's the piece of entertainment that doesn't foster that type of imagination. If Batman went out and went on adventures where he just cried in his cave all day, you think people are going to want to go out and be Batman? No, you have to do something cool for people to want to be like you. The only reason people want to be like Star Wars now in terms of branding is because they want money. Star Wars isn't this great science fiction fantasy epic anymore. It's a sad reminder that everything dies and withers away. And the old phrase, Star Wars is forever, is false. So I apologize for this super rant. It came out of nowhere. A fan over on the Facebook page sent me this image, and it reaffirmed what I said in an older video, that there's a dock somewhere with a bunch of these sitting on it. I'm wrong. It's not a dock. It's an entryway to a Toys R Us. But there they are. This wasn't the hottest ticket item of Christmas 2017. We're almost halfway through the year at this point, and they're still widely available and for real cheap. If I had children that were of appropriate age and size, this would be a cool gift if they liked Star Wars. But it's kind of hard, as I said earlier, to sell the next generation on Star Wars when you shit on their parents, and if their parents walk away with a less than excited feeling, if the children haven't found it on their own, I doubt the parents will introduce them to that version of Star Wars. So as always, thank you for watching this video. I greatly appreciate you giving your time to World Class Bullshitters, checking out all of our videos, sharing them, giving a thumbs up, and making sure you hit that bell notification so you can get access to this content as soon as possible. If you're a super fan of this channel, make sure you check out our Patreon page. $1 a month goes a long way. $5, which is only 17 cents a day, goes even further. We give you access to digital content that you can't get here on the YouTube channel, roundtable discussions, movie commentaries, and if you check out the tier package, you too can have videos made about whatever you want from World Class Bullshitters. I'll be back in a few hours with World Class Bullshitters episode 122, so make sure you check that out. And then on Saturday night, we have something really special for you guys. At midnight, going into Sunday, we're going to do a live drunk commentary of Deadpool. So basically what that means is that you can get your copy of the movie queued up, and we can all get together and we can watch Deadpool, we can chat in the chat, we can have conversations about Deadpool, because Deadpool 2 comes out next week and I'm beyond excited for it. We can talk about Deadpool, we can talk about Rob Liefeld and how his legacy has been cemented thanks to the film of Deadpool. We can talk about any kind of Marvel or any kind of topic you guys want. So you know what to do, you know how to get in contact with us, but just make sure you're free on Saturday night at midnight for that Deadpool commentary /hangout. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.